Welcome to Unit 12 of EDSE 614. It's very exciting to be at this point in the course because at the end of this 2-week unit, we will be submitting our FBA BIP assignment, which really is the major project of this course. And you'll notice that there have been several important projects along the way, but this really is your opportunity to pull all of your learning together and display that solid base of content knowledge as we are wrapping up our course. So you'll see on the course schedule that Unit 12 is a 2-week unit. And per usual, we'll see that journal number 4 will be due on the final Sunday of the unit. We've got that assignment due on the final Sunday. So 2 weeks from this time, and then we will have the FBA BIP assignment due on the final Sunday of the unit also, both of these by 11:59 p.m. So you've got the journal number 4, you've got the major course FBA BIP assignment, and then we do have a discussion in this unit, and you'll see here in the course schedule about the posting requirements for the discussion. The first post by the first Sunday, so 1 week into the unit at 11:59 p.m. And then 2 responses at minimum required by the final night of the course, which is a Sunday, by 11:59 p.m. And when I say course, I mean unit. I apologize. Final night of the unit. That's not the final night of the course because we still will come upon Unit 13 after that. And Unit 13 is just a brief unit to wrap things up. So right now you'll really want to keep your focus on the journal and particularly on the FBA BIP assignment while you're participating in the discussion as we go on in the next 2 weeks. So you can see Unit 12 is provided to us here in Canvas with a graphic organizer, just as you typically would see. We do have this optional discussion. There's a link that you can view here. You can respond to some questions. So feel free to share your thoughts, maybe review what other people are posting, but this one is not for credit. It's just an opportunity for you to chat with others. For the course discussion itself, this is an opportunity for you to post your behavior training assignment submission. So you did the behavior training assignments recently in our course, and you've already received a score for it. For your first post in this discussion, you will submit what you did. So this is not new work for you to do, but you'll just be posting your submission. If you want to make some adjustments to it based on the feedback you got in the rubric or the gradebook, feel free. But that will be your initial post, and there's no text source citation required in this discussion as we typically would see in discussions, just because you're posting your own presentation. And then in your response posts, you will review those presentations and provide feedback to others. And so when you're giving feedback, you don't want to just say, oh, great job, nice presentation, I liked it. But you really want to think about what parts did you like? What parts might you have more questions about? Are there any blanks that might need to be filled in? You could ask a person why they selected that particular area of focus for their assignment, all sorts of things that we can talk about here. But make sure that your comments are in depth. We want to avoid just quick compliments and really show that you did review the presentation and you are familiar with the content, and you want to show that interest and effort as you go through the presentations of your peers. And then journal number 4, this is just the exact same process that we've been using for the others. So you'll see all of the readings that we will be addressing. You can see in this little paragraph many different things that have been assigned over the past several weeks, and rubric is down here below. So you'll see these are the parts of the text that you will focus on for each section. And then finally, you can recall back in Unit 3, there was a really long list of articles that you had an option to choose one for your training assignments. So you'll go back, pick a different one or more than one, and you'll get a chance to write about those. And finally, here is the prompt, which you're quite familiar with by now, for the FBA BIP paper assignment. We're going to talk through it just a little bit here. We have discussed it before. And as always, I'm here to help if you want to set a phone meeting, a Zoom meeting, or just reach out to me via email or Canvas Messenger if you've got questions or need help with anything. But I will read through this. And again, keep in mind that you're just going to try to be as comprehensive as possible as you go. So this is what we need to pull together. This is also what you would upload for live text. This will be a large document. And so you'll include each of these things. If you need to do separate documents, that's okay. But what might be easy is just to take a screenshot of each or copy and paste it into Microsoft Word and just have many different pages. First with your operational definition of the target behavior, which we worked on many weeks ago. Second, you'll describe what you measured and how you measured it. How did you determine your data collection, your baseline, and when and what did you do, and how did you set up the units that you would go by, etc. Taking a look at observations that you did. If you did not get them done, then we can talk further about that based on the model that was proposed in the announcement. The informal assessments, and so that'll be review of files, IEP if you have them, or any other data that you may have collected or reviewed. You'll be including that information here too. So when I say copying and pasting or screenshotting, just putting that along in the document, this is what I mean. Something that you may have reviewed, for instance, other data that you could include in this big document, basically a document of evidence. Okay, so these are all of the little things. Answer for the operational definition. How did you measure? These don't have to be lengthy. This is just what you'll start. And then down below is where you're summarizing all of this content. So the next part will be your baseline data, which is, as always, in a graph, and you can do that in Excel. We have worked on that previously in this course. You will report any qualitative data that you have in narrative, so written format, and that'll be observations that you've done or any other interviews. You want to include information, summarize what you have gathered. And then finally, your hypothesis for the problem behavior. So what do you believe are the antecedents that contribute to the behavior? What consequences occur when the problem behavior happens? And what is your hypothesis about the function of the behavior for your selected student? So you'll want to include a little summary statement there with that information. And next, make sure that you are addressing all of this information, numbers 1 through 7, in a 7-page paper. And this paper is in APA format. So you will be describing everything that we've included here in detail in written form. First, you want to address the behavior that you identified. You're really just going to summarize what you went through. How did you pick the behavior and what was it? So that'll be pulling in the operational definition you've included up here. And when you're developing the BIP, you'll be looking at everything in the following numbers. So for number 4, what intervention have you identified that would be effective for the student? And you'll relate that to the information from the FBA. So you want to make sure that those connections are clear, that the evidence could be reviewed, and that it would be easy for somebody, even considering that stranger test, a person who wasn't familiar with the student, to look over your documents and understand why you chose the intervention you did in relationship to the function that was determined. Make sure that your intervention is evidence-based. So you want to reference academic journal articles, peer-reviewed studies, and reliable, relevant sources to support the intervention that you've chosen. You will include a crisis management plan with detail, and you will address a very important topic, which is fidelity of implementation, and we've addressed that in this course as well in previous units. It's very important to identify how the student's progress will be measured, who will be involved in the measurement, what will And if the intervention is not effective, so if things aren't working, what are we going to do as we go back to the drawing board as a team? And how can we make sure that the intervention is being applied appropriately and correctly, accurately in all settings? So working with those stakeholders, various teachers, other service providers, anyone who encounters the student and is going to be seeing and addressing that target behavior that we've identified. You will include a competing behavior pathway. If you've questions about that, please let me know. And we've got this visual here as a reminder, your competing behavior pathway. You're going to want to start with setting events, antecedents. You'll be identifying what is desired and what is the alternative behavior, problem behavior here, and then which consequences are in place as we reach that function, and how can we get to where the student wants to go still by using that function as a basis for developing an appropriate intervention. So I am here to help if you want to review the idea of the competing behavior pathway, but there is an example included here, and this is from socialinnovationsjournal.org if anyone's interested in this article. And finally, as you'll see here in point 8, you're going to be writing a 7-page paper, APA format, summarizing the documents and everything up here that you have addressed. So relevant information from these bullet points, yes. Relevant information from these numbers, yes. You're going to be pulling all of it together in a 7-page write-up. 7 pages sounds perhaps lengthy, but you have so much to summarize and address and review out of all of these different pieces of information that it will go more quickly than you might imagine. So you'll want to make sure that you explain your whole process. Recognize, please, also that this is the place where you'll be including your references in APA format, particularly references supporting your intervention, but any other references as well to describe the process and what you've learned and how you put the process into place. And then here, there is another paper, and I will talk here about the differences. This is a 4-page reflective paper. So you'll do APA format. You got the cover page, body of the paper, so page 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then the reference page. So you'll be sure to have your sources in there as well to support what you have done. The reflection will begin with a brief summary of your decisions. So we have discussed that in the previous paper, but you will add some information about that in the introduction to your reflection, just to help you look back on this process and the learning experience that it has been for you. So cite your sources in the APA format as always. And then you're going to describe what you have done, practical, philosophical, and thought-provoking experiences that you've had during this process. So this will be a brief summary of the FBA BIP experience, but the main focus of this 4-page paper is reflective and personal thought process. So what concerns did you have going through this? What barriers might you have encountered? I can think of several things that might apply for that. Which challenges happened for you, and anything that was kind of an aha moment for you, something that clicked that you hadn't recognized before. And then you'll want to answer all of these questions. So you'll see that even though here we've got some research integration and a brief summary of what you've done, down here we're really talking about how do you feel about all this? What do you think you could have done differently? Definitely please think about application for your future work. You can even share examples without student names of how this might be helpful with a variety of students or across settings. And please also include any points that you would like to research further or things that you might want to learn more about. Also, see this final part of the prompt for the reflection, you want to include an explanation of whichever sources were most helpful for you learning about these topics. So this is a good opportunity for you to really reflect back. We've had many articles and text readings, and this is a chance for you to say, what has been foundational for me in this learning process? So my hope is that that is a helpful summary. Please clearly read through the rubric. Of course, as always, that is a great opportunity for you to really see the clear guidelines for full credit. But I hope that that's helpful in talking through these points for the prompts. And please reach out with any questions.